NHL signing season is upon us. Danielle Michaud joined by Luke Fox. And Luke's, your bigger list of free agents available is, of course, on Sportsnet.ca. But we're going to focus on your top 7, starting at number 7 with Anders Lee.
You always have to watch Anders Lee in front, one of the best power forwards in the game. He is so good. He's a big man that's got excellent hands.
The New York Islanders are at risk of losing their captain for the second straight season. Of course, they lost John Tavares to the Leafs last year at this time. And Anders Lee isn't signed yet. And it's pretty curious because Lou Lamoriello went out and signed Brock Nelson and Jordan Eberle, who were also pending UFAs. But Lee, their captain, is not signed. And term seems to be the big sticking point here. So a lot of teams will covet a big left winger who can do some damage in front of the net if he does become available.
The Toronto Maple Leafs blue line is certainly an area of trouble. And unless Kyle Dubas can pull a rabbit out of his hat, it might be without Jake Gardner, who sits at number 6.
One of his great strengths is his ability to use his speed to his advantage.
Offensively, getting really involved and playing such big minutes.
Jake Gardner is going to be one of the most coveted defensemen on the UFA market. It's really hard to see him staying with the Leafs, even though the team and the player both like working with each other. Babcock plays him a ton of minutes. The Leafs blue line is going to suffer immensely if he doesn't return, but we just don't see how that can happen because the available cap space the Leafs have, they need to devote to Mitch Marner. He's priority 1. So, there's going to be a lot of suitors out there for Jake Gardner.
Safe to say Kevin Cheveldayoff has a laundry list of things to do. At number 5 is Tyler Myers being one of them.
Myers scores!
He has got a sweet set of hands for a big man.
Tyler Myers just continues to amaze me.
It's really hard to see Tyler Myers returning to the Jets just the same way with Gardner and the Leafs, just because the Jets are against the cap. Now Myers is going to stay in touch with his GM and see if he's willing to match the other offers out there. But we're hearing as much as $7 million times 7 years from teams like the Vancouver Canucks. There's going to be some aggressive teams because he's the top right-hand shot out there on the UFA market, and I just don't see him coming back to the Jets because they have RFAs to sign in Kyle Connor and Patrick Laine, and I think that'll be Cheveldayoff's priority.
No Stanley Cup for the San Jose Sharks, so decisions need to be made, and one surrounds number 4, Joe Pavelski.
Scores! Pavelski!
I don't think we've talked about it enough. The Pavelski factor is huge with this San Jose Sharks team.
This is a tough one because Little Joe, as they call him, has been a lifelong Shark. He's the captain. They also call him Captain America. He has a lot of nicknames. But Pavelski does everything. He's kind of regarded as probably the best or second best tipper in the league. His hand-eye is off the charts. He's coming off a career year, even though he's a little bit older than some of the UFAs on the list. But there's going to be tons of interest. Dallas has already expressed interest. Minnesota is reportedly interested in him. The Blackhawks as well. So, there's a premium placed on centers and strength down the middle. And it's going to be a tough loss for San Jose. But Doug Wilson said not to count them out, that he's going to try and make it work.
Now, Luke, the top half of your list is Columbus Blue Jackets heavy, as many thought it would be. And at number 3, we've got 2-time Vezina Trophy winner Sergei Bobrovsky.
Oh, Sergei Bobrov!
Bobrovsky is as sharp as a tack.
He's special, isn't he?
You couldn't help but think once Roberto Luongo retired earlier this week that Bobrovsky's going to be a member of the Florida Panthers. Now, there are a couple other teams that could express interest. The Islanders are one because Lamoriello has some space to play with and some decisions to make. But Florida has to be seen as the front runner there. The other interesting thing about Bobrovsky, and he's linked to another guy on the list, Timmy Panera, is they have the same agent. So there's some speculation out there that those two could be a package deal.
Also upping his value, producing a point a game throughout the playoffs, would be number 2, Matt Duchene.
Scores! Matt Duchene! Welcome to Columbus!
Anticipation is high, his IQ is high, his compete level is high. And he's been a nice pickup here for the Blue Jackets.
The thing with Duchene was, until this year, he was kind of, regarded as a guy who A, didn't make the playoffs very often, and B, didn't perform that well. So that really increased his value. And we could see him go like as much as $10 million, which is a lot because in my mind, on a really good contending team, he's a number 2 center, but there's some teams out there that might want to slot him in the number 1 spot. The front runners there are definitely Nashville, who cleared a lot of space in the PK Subban trade and have been eyeing Duchene probably since a year and a half ago. And the other one that he went to visit recently is Montreal, which is really compelling because he's open to staying in Canada. He's a Canadian boy. He wants to be near his family. So Montreal's always been looking for depth up the middle. Like this time last year, they couldn't get an interview with John Tavares, and that really bothered them. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bergevin makes a nice offer as well.
What do you think, Luke? Childhood team with the Habs or lower Broadway and country music in Nashville?
Country music,
right?
Yeah, I'm
That's
going country music.
And rounding out the list at number 1 for Luke, free agent availability. Breadman gets paid, as you put it, Artemi Panarin.
Panarin sends it to himself, scores! What a goal!
Electrifying, amazing skater, agility, mobility, can turn on a dime.
Artemi Panarin is just so dynamic, and he can just pile up the points. Like I mentioned, I kind of see Florida as the front runner, although just recently he went to visit the New York Rangers, and they have cap space, and suddenly they're a really interesting team. Jeff Gordon's made some nice moves, got the second overall pick already at the draft, so they're going to make a strong pitch for Panarin. I saw that they even put him in a Rangers uniform with his name in lights in Madison Square Garden. It's a good pitch, so they'll be in on him as well.
It's great. And to see all of Luke's picks of free agents available in 2019, you can head to sportsnet.ca.